Hello and welcome to the Just Mates podcast, where we aim to destigmatise men not speaking up about mental health. Remember to follow our social pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Just Mates Pod. You can listen to and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor and Apple Podcast. All the links are provided in the description. Upon reflection of recent events, this one is a very impromptu topic, and it's something that we feel is an issue that we need to talk about and call out on as soon as it happens. And obviously Sam went through something yesterday, didn't you, Sam? And you was in a particular situation which resulted in some events that are very unexpected, but things that are very real. And Sam has kindly been brave enough and confident enough to do what we have been doing for 21 weeks, and that is to speak up about his mental health.
Yeah.
So, Sam, yeah.
Okay, mate. I don't really want to talk about this specific event that actually happened, but I can I'll just cut it short. So, was it Ben that came on?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is quite difficult to talk about. I can see what he means now. Well, I'll cut it short. I cut myself yesterday. Yeah, I was just in a really, really bad state of mind. I was really still am. You can probably still kind of hear it in my voice a little bit. Yeah, it's just weird to talk about it, mate, if I'm honest. But it's good to talk about it.
I think just so the listeners know, so we're recording on Sunday, and this particular thing happened yesterday, which would have been Saturday.
Yeah.
And Sam, obviously, you've only just told me today, which is Sunday. And obviously I was very distraught, and thinking about it, I felt like I was very neglectful of not having been there for you. But obviously you have said to me a few times now that it's not my fault, and obviously in that sense it's not, but this is the whole reason we do this pod. Like, we want people to have a support system, and I've urged Sam today prior to this call, and I've always said this to him, that feeling in that kind of way, his trigger point should be to call me. And I think, Sam, going forward, I hope you feel confident enough to do that, whether it be 10 p.m, 2 a.m, 9 a.m, whatever time of day. We're friends here. Yeah, we're mates, and I want you to know that I'm here for you.
Thank you, mate. You too. It's just I might be a bit slow when I'm talking here, but because I'm not in the right state of mind. But I'm quite disassociated at the moment, and I think that's probably partly the reason. So I had some vivid thoughts. So a specific thing happened to me yesterday, and I had some really vivid thoughts. And I haven't eaten for like 2 days. Well, probably a day and a half, really. Or properly for a couple of days. Just some other things leading up to that, but this whole in the depression that just hit me. If anybody that's been through it understands that it just wipes you out clean. It makes you feel just worthless. There's like this dark cloud that just goes over everything. It's low resolution. It's really horrible. And then I had if anybody is like me and has a really vivid imagination for certain things, you can't really get it out of your head. I know this is getting deeply personal now, but referring back to Ben's podcast, I said I used to cut myself as a kid, and I haven't for about 10 years probably, if not more, since I last did it, realistically speaking. But I had such a vivid thoughts in my head that, yeah, my whole arm is like sliced up now. And it sounds, I really apologize because this is really vivid, but when this is what people probably don't understand about self-harm, it's like, it takes I mean, people self-harm for different reasons, but when I did it, it's like it takes the pain away from your head, so it takes the thought away. It gives you almost like an adrenaline rush, and that pain is so... It was just such a relief. Like, it's like I could control this, I can understand this, I can physically see this, what I'm doing to myself. And it sounds really sick that I'm saying that, and I'm really sorry, but that is how it was. And also, like, right now I feel guilty, which is the self-harm cycle. Really is, you feel pain, you self-harm, and then you feel even worse afterwards, which is kind of what I feel now, because my arm still hurts. Obviously, it's all cut up and everything. I didn't go relatively lightly. And it just makes you feel a bit guilty. You have to. I mean, my housemates at the moment, I have to hide my arm.
I think as well, Sam. I can't apologise enough that you've had to go through this again, and I know that just with the same process of suicide, self-harm, not eating, all of these things come down to, it's not a cowardly thing, it's you just don't know what... I think you're just not in your right senses, and I guess we are mental health advocates, and even the most strongest people can feel weak.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you should just not take on face value, and it makes me feel... It just makes me feel like we need to be grateful that there are things we can control, and this is just one of them things that you couldn't. And again, I just have to apologise that I wasn't there for you. But this is just the whole reason we do this, isn't it, Sam? It's real. It's happening to any of us, all of us. A lot of us deal with things in different ways. I mean, I cannot relate in the sense of having done this in this way, but we are all victims of depression, and no matter how confident we may sound or someone may sound, there is so many hidden battles that people are going through.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have known, would you, mate? To be honest, and you and me are really tight. You just don't really know, and like, and if you did the same sort of thing, I wouldn't have really known, and I would have been much better off just calling you at the time, no matter what time it was. Like you said earlier, talking is the best way out, definitely.
Like, even just before this call we were talking, and as I said at the start, this was the impromptu topic for this week, but we were talking, and as harsh as it was, I was being very truthful to you.
Yeah.
And I think in that level of that emotion that you were going through yesterday, when having done this, and whatever it was that was going through your head, it's a level of naivety as well.
Yeah.
You seem to think that it's not really going to bother anyone. It's just a little thing that I'm doing. I'm not going to worry so much about it. And then it's just the afterthought that can kill you, really, like kill your mind. And I'm just so happy that you were able to tell me, even if it was a day later. But there are some people that are going through this and not having said a single word.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that, really. I can't imagine not, I if I'm truthful, like, I did want to hide it. But then I kind of thought back to the pod and thought, you know what, it's good to speak to people about these things, because if I suppressed it, then that's just going to get worse, and then I'm going to cut myself even more. Like, I did it last night, and then I had a thought, like, probably I'm sorry I'm saying this, but like, I had a thought, like, a couple of hours ago, or maybe something like that, and I did it again, and then I thought, like, my arm's even more busted up now. I just need to talk to someone. I need to talk to Naffle. I need to talk to my mates. Like, and now I'm like, look at me now. Like, I'm not doing it, am I? I'm talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just important that your mind was escaping by picking up whatever you picked up. But we need to create little triggers, little things that can help us deflect from doing something very stupid. And at the time that you're doing it, you don't think that it's actually the wrong thing to do. You think that you're helping yourself.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't really. It's like, you know what I say when I say like you've got like a very strong. Are you quite vivid when you think?
Yeah, and yeah.
As a designer, you must be quite creatively minded. Like you can picture things very vividly. I'd imagine. I am too. And when that thought crept up in my head, or thoughts, should I say, it hurt me so. So I just, for people knowing as well, I was sick. I had panic attacks. It just destroyed me. But when that thought crept up into my head, I thought I have to get rid of this. And there's I didn't know what would work. Like I didn't. It sounds really bad, but like I didn't want to meditate. Like I didn't, and that normally helps. I didn't have the energies to go and meditate. I didn't have the energy to go and speak to anyone. It's really weird. But when I put that blade on my arm, and yeah, it just rushed away from my head, and then went, I guess, and then it gradually comes back. You know, that's the weird thing after self-harm. It's like it comes back, and it comes back even worse.
This is quite a tough question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't feel comfortable, we've given ourselves a trigger word, haven't we, Sam? So if there's anything that you don't want to answer, please just feel free to just take a break. But I just wanted to ask, if you were to look at yourself and watch yourself doing it, as in be another person and see your friend do it, what would you tell them? What would you personally tell them? And say you're of healthy mind.
Probably I would just take. Number one, take the blade away from them. Number two, just put my arm around them, said it's going to be okay, and just be there for them, I guess, and just say, you know, you're not the only one. But
so the number one thing about this is, which proves that it's not just attention seeking, is when people do this, when you done this, you were alone. You weren't around people. You weren't screaming, saying, look what I'm doing.
Yeah. By myself in the dark.
This connotation of people doing it for attention seeking is what I'm trying to eradicate, really. Is it's not that. It's not to show off that I'm hurting myself. I want you to ask me what's wrong. If that was the case, they would do it in front of you, or they would make it completely obvious, but you didn't. And it's weird because one of the main reasons you actually probably told me is because last night, out of nowhere, I told this. I spoke about this to my mum, and I said to her, out of nowhere, I had this weird thought that there's something not right in the air, and I messaged you last night, didn't I? I said, "Hey, bro," and it was about 9 o'clock, maybe 9, and you hadn't replied. Mm-hmm. And I got a message at 4 o'clock from you this morning. Obviously, I weren't awake. I got a message from you at 4 o'clock, and you said whatever you had said. But there was something telling me that something weren't right. Yeah. And all I'm trying to say is, if anybody else out there has got any friends and they've got a gut feeling that something is not really normal, something doesn't feel the same as it normally does, a simple message literally can help that person out of that shitty state. And I know that I didn't help you last night, but you still were able to tell me the following morning because of a message that I'd sent the previous night. Yeah, that's true, mate. You were top of mind. I mean, when I probably did it at like 3 a.m, I think, about that time. And then I just sat in bed. I felt awful. And then you came top of mind. And then, I think that reinforcement of that text before really helped me kind of reach out to you, I guess. So, And just so the listeners know, what was the text that I sent? Simple text.
You're right, mate. Yeah.
Wait, what? Let me have a look.
You're right, bro.
Yeah, it was literally, it was literally, hey, bro.
Yeah.
And a 2-word message has literally been enough for you to be comfortable enough to tell me. So yeah, this one, obviously, it's a deep one, and we're sorry. Well, I'm sorry, because not having been through it myself, I don't want to be insensitive to any listeners. But I just want you to know, Sam, that I'm here for you. And this isn't just for the podcast. I said this before. I'll say this all the time. If you ever feel that way, please just call me, text me, do anything. And I urge any listeners that have been through this, have got friends that have done this or doing it themselves, just reach out to someone.
Yeah, it's that text you sent me last night, mate. Although, like, I was going through a rough time and I didn't really check my phone. I think I probably saw that message like a few hours after. But I think that just that reinforcement of like, oh, Naf's here, like that really helps, even if it's just like the next day. And if you're really concerned about the person, like, screw it, give them a call. Like, but there was absolutely no way you knew that I could be going through anything.
And the thing is, Sam, this is the biggest shocker for me. Is I think it must have been the day before yesterday, or a couple of days ago. I actually said to you, like, how have you been recently? We had this little discussion of that. I asked you, how have you been mentally and stuff, and we often ask each other this all the time. And you were, well, whether you lied or not, or whether you hid it, but you told me you was in a very good place.
I was.
And the episode of this podcast is going to be called Reflection, because upon reflection of feeling so good and then to not so good, I don't know how to put it in words, but
it's you just don't know when someone's mood is going to change. Like,
exactly, it can be one small trigger that can just literally flip a switch for you.
I was having a great time, mate, this month, if I'm honest with you. It was great. And then just one thing just turned my world absolutely upside down. And like, I'd like to talk about this snowball thing that we kind of, the balloon philosophy that we kind of talked about in overthinking.
Yeah.
So I had like, happened to me a couple of times, but I'll just like during that night, but like I was thinking, oh, this bad thing has happened to me, and then your mind almost is like a magnet and picks up other negative energy, that other things that are going bad for you.
Yeah, it just gravitates, like positive energy, negative energy can just gravitate towards you as well.
That's what happened, and that one thing just set me off. It just set me off, and I started remembering all the bad things that happened to me, like this year or like over the past couple of years. It sounds like really silly, but it did. Like, everything came back, everything was awful, and there was nothing I could do about it. That's how I felt at the time, anyways. Just help us. Yeah.
And now, Sam, having spoken about it to me, and just generally, I think you said you spoke to another friend as well, knowing that people are there, which you knew anyway, but in that state, you obviously don't think like that. How are you feeling now? Like, honestly, how do you feel now?
Much, much better than what I did, obviously, last night. I mean, you can't get much worse than the state I was in last night, mate. It was absolute. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was probably the worst night I've had this year. To be honest with you, but now I feel much better because I've spoken to two of my closest mates, and that's just so important. But yeah, it is just vital that you speak to people. Sorry, I'm mumbling here, but I feel much better.
No, that's it, and this is what I'm trying to say is, upon reflection, you've now come away from the situation that you were in.
Yeah.
And it's such a tough conversation to have with someone, because no matter what I say to you now, or whatever I text you, whatever I message you, I'm never going to truly understand what you're going through, because of the whole premise of like what it is, you know, like until I do it myself, until not, God forbid I ever do. I mean, there are so many other ways of what's it called, self-harm that we could probably branch off onto, but I'm just saying is, until I do what you've done, felt how you felt, I will never truly understand. But I can be there for you. I can tell you that I'm here for you, and you know for a fact that no matter what happens, I'll be a message
and that's
away.
a really important thing, mate, because during that time, like, I kind of thought like it was just me. This is just me. This is only happening to me. Why me? And
it is a level, and without sounding rude, it's a level of self-pity in that moment.
Massively. You're not wrong. I just felt so dark and lonely. Like right now, like I feel much better. I am depressed, but it's sorry, my mind's gone a bit blank, mate.
No, take your time. Honestly,
it would have been just much better just to have called, no matter what time in the morning it was. Like you don't really know. Like, this is the thing with self-harm as well. Like my arm is messed up, right? It is messed up, but like there are going to be other people that don't go lightly. Like they go quite heavily, and the thing is with the self-harm and stuff is like, yesterday I cut my arm, and I really banged my head today, like just to get the thoughts out. I'd smacked my head. It sounds crazy, it really does, mate.
What, you did that today? This is the first I'm hearing of this, and I just tell you how that.
It's something. I feel guilty. I feel like childish and stuff for saying it. I really do. Like, it makes me feel really bad that I've said that, because it just makes you feel like a child. But like, I have to be honest here. Like, that is what I did. But like, where am I going with this? I probably went considerably lightly in comparison to maybe what some person would have done that would have been fatal. So just be like, self-harm, it may give you like temporary relief, but like, you don't know if like that slit to your wrist could be your last, is what I'm trying to say. And luckily, like my arm is all scratched up and messed up, but like there are going to be people that have been to hospital and like had nerve damage, or like even cut through to an artery and bled out.
But in the same sense, if you are doing it lightly, if you're, whatever the way it is that you've decided to do it, don't. I think that's the biggest thing, is just don't do it. And I know it's easy to say that. Like, it is easy to say that. But
I'm gonna be truthful. Like, I haven't told you this, but like, obviously, when I did it as a kid, I made a promise to myself that I would never do it again. And in that moment, I just did not care. I just wanted that thought out of my head. Like, I wanted it gone, and I would do whatever it takes to get it out. And I think in a kind of like a really sick way, it made me relate to people with substance abuse. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like when people feel like self-conscious, or people don't feel like, they just feel bad or whatever. I can kind of relate that to how people are like drinking or like taking drugs and stuff to get that out, that thought, or like not feel like that at all. So I could kind of relate in that sense, but you are right. It's just don't do it. it's just.
I know it sounds kind of insensitive, because nobody really, if you think about it, wants to be in that state of mind that they have to result in doing that. But that's what it is. The point is, there's no clarity.
Yeah,
you're in your senses, and I don't know what it is that can shake you out of it. Like I want to understand it more.
It's temporary relief, mate. Is what it was. This is not advertising. I'm not advocating do it, because for the love of God, don't do what I've done. It's sick. It's really bad. And like, you should seek help. I'm seeking help now. Like, I'm seeking help for this specifically, because I'm worried that, if something cascades and happens again, that I could do this again. Like, I'm not going to shy away from it. But yeah, just really seek help and talk to friends. Like,
and a lot of people don't actually feel brave enough to do what you're doing now. And I commend you for being so open and so in depth as well with how you're feeling. But I think that's what's most important, is you talking about it now. I hope you're okay.
No, I'm okay. I'm better now I'm talking to you. It's fine. But yeah, if you just...
Is there anything that you feel like could stop you doing it next time?
A level of distraction, I think. Just keeping out of my own head, because my head is at the moment, it's quite dangerous. And if I'm not preoccupied, if I'm not filling my mind with something else, then I reckon it would be quite dangerous.
And I think as well, not to take away from what you're going through, but a lot of people don't have the capability of, or maybe the reason they're doing it is because they're so alone and they don't have anyone around them. But there are, and I think maybe this is a great time to reinforce some of the mental health charities that we've got in our description. And we can obviously share some numbers with you guys. And Sam, you know, at our old work, we had, what was it called? EAP, which was a phone call away. And I rang them once or twice, and they were very helpful. All it takes is a simple phone call, and you can just talk to someone on another line. And whether you don't have friends or family available to talk to, there is someone there. There's always going to be someone there. And recently I discovered something. I'm going to find what it was.
I was going to call Samaritans tonight, but I thought I'd just call my mate first. But Samaritans is an awfully great one. I've used them before.
That's, I mean, I hope I'm helping or have helped. But there is another thing that I found out recently. It's if you text home, the word home, to 741 when you are feeling depressed or suicidal, a crisis counsellor will text you back. This is very important, and it's free. So just so if people are listening again, the number is 741. All you have to do to get in touch with them is text them the word home, and someone will respond back to you. I'm not sure how long it takes. It doesn't say specifically, but if you are feeling alone and you want to talk to someone, but don't want to maybe vocalize it, you can always text a number.
Them, can you? Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. So even if you, Sam, wanted to talk to a stranger that doesn't have any clue of what you're going through, and you just want them from an outside perspective, give them a call or give them a text, sorry. And it's, again, I'm going to repeat it again because I feel like this can help so many people, especially with lockdown 2 on the ropes as well. It's 741. Okay.
Well, thanks for that, mate. I'll add that actually to my list. I'll take that into practice.
I think even if you, in that moment of feeling of, if you want to self-harm again and you feel like you have no one to turn to, or maybe you're embarrassed, and this is another big thing for a lot of people. I don't know if you feel this way, Sam, but a lot of people might feel embarrassed to tell someone when they're feeling this way, so they just do it anyway. Nobody is going to judge you. There is no level of judgment from me. Like when you told me, Sam, I was more distraught that I weren't there for you than I was that you did it, in a sense.
You do feel guilty, like you just feel like I didn't want to show, but like in a sense, I thought I have to tell someone. I have to, because I hide this away, then it's just going to get worse, and I'm going to keep doing it because I can get away with it.
I just, I think we're going to keep this one short. I don't want to keep talking about it with you, Sam, and making you feel worse if it is. But yeah, I urge people to just talk to their friends and family. Sam, if you ever want to talk to me, and I'm not saying this just because we're on air, I've just said this to you prior to this, like just call me.
Of course, mate. Thank you.
But yeah, so this one is more about the realness of depression. I think it's more about that. No matter what anyone may seem or come across it as, there is so many hidden battles, and someone doesn't have to be depressed for you to just be normal and nice to them. Be nice anyway, and good energy will gravitate towards you, and there's always someone there for you.
Mate.
Always. And obviously, Sam, I'm always here for you. So yeah, this has been episode 22, I believe. I'm losing count now. I think it's 22. And thanks for listening, guys. You can find us on our socials at Just Mates Pod. Links will be in the description. I've been the Feast, and thanks for listening, guys.